The Lampard Inquiry is tasked with the immense challenge of investigating matters surrounding a scandal that is very much ongoing, a scandal that extends well beyond the inquiry's scope, and a scandal that tragically continues to unfold ahead of us. Essex Partnership University NHS Foundation Trust is one of around 50 mental health trusts in England alone. Whilst the provision of mental health services in Essex has been and continues to be particularly egregious, this remains more indicative of the standards across the country rather than as an exception to the rule. We, Stop Oxevision, are grateful for the time and consideration the Lampard Inquiry have given to addressing matters relating to Oxevision over the last 2 days and the months before that. We will continue to work with the inquiry as witnesses to support where we can, our own health permitting. However, it is important in this moment to highlight the urgency of these matters. We simply cannot afford to wait years for the Lampard Inquiry's final report and recommendations. Action is needed now more than ever. The way EPUT have used Oxevision for the last 5 years, which EPUT themselves have now admitted to having breached patients' rights, is very much in line with the ways in which this is implemented in other mental health trusts. Currently, we are aware of around 25 mental health trusts in England using Oxevision. The company OxyHealth or Lio Health have expanded to Sweden, the US and Australia, and as we speak are heading to Northern Ireland to sell their services to NHS trusts there. We share pain, anger and grief with those who are only finding out today about the extent of what the box in their bedroom ceiling was doing, that video footage was generated of them or their loved ones, and that this was shared with a private company without their knowledge or consent, often actively deceived otherwise. As Stop Oxevision, we repeat our initial demands and call for all trusts using Oxevision to immediately suspend their use of it. Oxevision is fundamentally incompatible with safe, lawful, trauma-informed or person-centred care, and this continues to be proven to be the case. NHS England and CQC have commissioned research and issued guidelines, but none of this has been enough to address the root issues. Ultimately, replacing in-person treatment of acutely unwell people with CCTV in video cameras in patients' bedrooms and sharing over 90 million hours of potentially identifiable video footage with third parties is unacceptable and abhorrent. And we don't need more research. We don't need more empty, convoluted words that try to be balanced when it's our lives and rights and dignity that hang in the balance. We need real action, and we need the institutions charged with protecting us to finally take responsibility in taking this action. I am angry, I am furious that we have to go to such extreme lengths to get these institutions to see that human lives matter more than the financial interests and reputations of a private tech company. We shouldn't have to beg for our most fundamental rights to be upheld, and it shouldn't take lives lost and harm inflicted for those with power to finally take action. In order for mental health trusts to stop using Oxevision, it will be necessary for OxyHealth to permit them to exit the contracts they've tied themselves into, the contracts that commit them to siphoning more and more public funds into paying for dangerous and unlawful technology for years to come. Given OxyHealth's self-proclaimed commitments to safety, well-being and working with patients at every stage, we hope that they will see that this is the only right thing to do. We, as patients and ex-patients, are calling for OxyHealth to prioritise our lives over profit. In my oral evidence heard on Monday and Tuesday, I highlighted a complaint submitted to the Information Commissioner's Office. This complaint was rejected on the basis that I should have first raised this with OxyHealth. This has now been raised with them, albeit in a statutory public inquiry. Therefore, in the context of the extent and magnitude of the concerns discussed, we implore the ICO to reopen this complaint and investigate potential data protection infringements in cooperation with the Lampard Inquiry. Finally, and most importantly, we would like to offer our sincerest condolences to the bereaved loved ones and patients who have been harmed at the hands of mental health services in Essex and across the country. No words will ever be enough to express the depth of the catastrophic betrayal and failure you've experienced, and we are grateful for the tireless work on advocating for and bringing about the inquiry we hear today. Vital work you should never have had to do. We share fragile hope that this will result in the changes so desperately needed. We stand in solidarity, grief and rage, and will not stop fighting until patients and their loved ones across the country receive the standard of care we deserve. I will end this by reading a list of trusts we believe to be using Oxevision currently, who we invite to take immediate action to address the threats that it poses. Active Care Group, previously called Huntercombe, Berkshire Healthcare NHS Foundation Trust, Cambridgeshire and Peterborough NHS Foundation Trust, Central and North West London NHS Foundation Trust, Coventry and Warwickshire Partnership NHS Trust, Cumbria, Northumberland, Tyne and Ware NHS Foundation Trust, Derbyshire Healthcare NHS Foundation Trust, Devon Partnership NHS Trust, they're currently expanding it to more wards, East London NHS Foundation Trust, Hampshire and Isle of Wight, that was previously called Southern Health and Solent, Hertfordshire Partnership University NHS Foundation Trust, Kent and Medway NHS and Social Care Partnership Trust, Lancashire and South Cumbria NHS Foundation Trust, Midlands Partnership University NHS Foundation Trust, North East London NHS Foundation Trust, North Staffordshire Combined Healthcare NHS Trust, Oxford Health NHS Foundation Trust, Pennine Care NHS Foundation Trust, Rotherham, Doncaster and South Humber NHS Foundation Trust, South London and Maudsley NHS Foundation Trust, South West London and St George's Mental Health NHS Trust, Surrey and Borders Partnership NHS Foundation Trust, Tees, Esk and Ware Valleys NHS Trust, and West London NHS Trust.